And last night, when we look at kind of how the quarters laid out relative to shooting, it's pretty telling. First quarter they were hot. 61.5%. DC 7 of 13 from three. It kind of 50%, 52% in the third, and then in the fourth, just struggling. 28.6, 7.7, 1 of 13 from 3-point range. Again, you don't want to read too much into it, but it's just interesting. They've started fast the last couple, even against the Magic. They played well in the first quarter and then kind of ran out of gas.
They've combined for 83 points in the first quarters in their last two first quarters against the Orlando Magic, combining against the Orlando Magic, and last night's game against the Los Angeles Clippers. But then they haven't been able to score 30 points in any of the next three quarters, the second, third, fourth quarter, in the last two games. It's been a quick 180 for this team after having a problem for the last month with starting games. Now they've been able to start games, but they can't finish them. So it's an interesting phenomenon when it comes to this team and how they've been putting themselves in multiple different situations. Sure, it could be helpful and could be looked at as helpful for the playoffs to put themselves in different scenarios to come back from, which we've seen all season long. But the fact of the matter is, I was not satisfied with the decision making that took place by Kenny Atkinson last night when it comes to the rotations in the fourth quarter, who he went with, and what he's been doing all season, which is empowering players and empowering guys to play freely. And yet, he went away from two of his hottest players throughout the night with Max Strus and DeAndre Hunter sitting on the bench for a majority of the fourth quarter, while Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, and other guys such as Dean Wade, who were struggling offensively, were getting excess run. Obviously, Donovan and Darius are two of the best fourth quarter players in the league, but if things aren't working, I've seen and we've praised Kenny Atkinson for going the opposite way and going to other guys who have been successful. Yesterday, we didn't see that. And I think that's something to keep an eye on because those star players have always come through in the fourth quarter this season. And lately, they haven't. So, will Kenny Atkinson in the playoff scenarios be able to go away from some of these guys if the game does call for it?
So the other thing that we can say, during that 16-game winning streak, there were a couple of games where the Cavs just didn't play well and ended up finding a way to win. Is Kenny Atkinson, are you concerned just, and again, is it just a matter of it's an 82-game season? You're in the fourth quarter of an 82-game season.
Right. I think you just got to keep banking wins. And obviously, they're not really worried about getting wins at this point because they're already at the top of the Eastern Conference. They would have to have a significant drop off to lose that spot, as I believe they're still 6.5 games above the Boston Celtics. But I don't think it's room for concern. I just think it's something to keep an eye on, keep note of, keep factoring in as we continue to push forward because in the last 10 games, the Cavs have not been what their standard is. Obviously, we know they're top 10 in both offensive and defensive rating for the entire season. They're outside the top 10 in the last 15 games, I believe. So I think when we talk about what this Cavs team has been able to do, obviously that also factors into their fourth quarter performance in the last month about how they've just simply been able to come back from deficits. And as we talked about it on a show earlier in the month, like they were able to come back from multiple double-digit deficits in games that they simply shouldn't have won. Last night, it felt like that was a shootout that they could have won. The Orlando Magic game felt like it was a game that they should have won. That's what's most notable to me. They shouldn't be winning these games, and it feels like they keep letting it get out of hand. Obviously, the Los Angeles Clippers are one of the best defensive teams in the last 10 games. That showed itself last night in the fourth quarter, but they also have good field goal and three-point percentages. They shot like 54% from the field last night, and that was like their 11th or 14th best in the season. So that just shows you how good they've been all year. So you don't want to count them out. And it's just this Cavs team still trying to figure out who they are, where they want to be as they head into the playoffs. And that majority means health and mentality.